Okay, I just want to make a quick little video here about T-5 swapping these early six-cylinder Mustangs. This is my 66. Aluminum headers, roller rockers, all the good shit. Originally, this was a C4 automatic 3-speed car. Then I went and shifted it to a 3-speed top loader car. I put all the mechanical linkage in there and whatnot. And now it's going to go T5, and the T5 is sitting over here in the passenger seat. Car's waiting to go up on the lift tomorrow. Got a buddy who's going to help me out. I'm going to throw it in there. Hopefully it should be a one-day job. As you can see, I pulled the transmission, the bell housing's off. Got the new flywheel bolted up. It's really just waiting on time to get it in there. But I wanted to make a quick video kind of about all the information I've collected on, one, how to manual swap these cars, and two, how to do the T5 in it, or what I think is the best way to do the T5 in it. At least the way I'm doing it. Because there's not a lot of information on how to modify, especially hop up the 6. And I feel like the more videos people make like this, the better everybody's going to be off. Better everybody will be off. So I guess we'll talk 3 speeds, and we'll talk top loaders first. So this is a 3.03 top loader, and the other option for a 3-speed top loader would be the 277. They're fine. They work really great. I thoroughly enjoyed mine. Having the dogleg first gear was pretty cool. Dragged this one out of a barn. I bought 2 of them for 120 bucks. They're everywhere. Look on Facebook Marketplace. You can find one. The 4 speeds are pretty plentiful too, if that's the route you want to go. Because it's definitely cheaper than the T5. That being said, none of this is cheap. None of this is about competing with V8 cars or, you know, arguing about, oh, who's going to be faster or whatever. I don't really care about that. And I think if you own probably one of these 6-cylinder cars and you hop it up, it's not really what it's about. It's more about if you want to do it and you want to make something cool. Anyway, so the 3-speed top loaders, you got the 277 and 3.03. The 277 is pretty much junk. Came in only 6-cylinder cars. It doesn't have a synchronized first gear. Not super great, especially when they're as plentiful as they are. So I think if you're going to get one of these, you're better off getting the 3.03 or upgrading to a 4-speed of some kind. That being said, if you just want to manual swap your car and then eventually you're thinking about a T5 swap, that's what I did. The 3.03 is the way to go for one very important reason. It has a 28 spline output shaft. Conveniently enough, the T5 also has a 28 spline output shaft. So the yoke that Modern Driveline is going to send you is going to be 28 splines. And in theory, if you already did that swap, it'll slide right on. Also, measured that in the car and measured the T5, mocked it up with the adapter plate and whatnot. Comes in with about, I don't know, maybe a quarter to a half inch difference. The T5 being about a quarter to a half inch shorter. So I think I'm going to get away with the stock drive shaft without having to modify it and whatnot. The other thing is if you go top loader, you can use the mechanical linkage, okay? Which I have pieced together in this car. It's all new stuff. You can buy it from CJ Pony Parts. This is the equalizer or Z-bar. There's the push rod for the clutch pedal. And then there's another push rod, which you're not going to be able to see, that actually pushes the clutch fork, otherwise known as the release fork. But the bell housing is not in. Obviously, the clutch fork is not in, but it would be right there. Had great difficulty figuring out what the fuck this clutch linkage looked like when I was doing the swap initially. So I got myself a Chilton manual, and they actually have everything laid out pretty nicely. This picture is, for whatever reason, stupid hard to find, but this is absolutely everything. They call a few things a different name. They call this an equalizer bar. A lot of people call it a Z-bar, I guess because vaguely resembles a Z. They also call the release lever the clutch fork. Whatever, tomato, tomato. But that is the picture you're looking for. And as much as I don't like their prices, CJ Pony Parts is actually the best place to get all of the 6-cylinder linkage parts, because there are at least 2 parts that are 6-cylinder specific. It's been a while since I've done this swap, but to the best of my memory, which I'm pretty sure is everything, is this Z-bar is actually longer because the V8 is wider in the car, okay, and this Z-bar mounts to the kind of pseudo frame rail that's in the car. So it has to be longer to compensate for the skinnier sort of package of the 6-cylinder. So the Z-bar is 6-cylinder specific, and the clutch fork is 6-cylinder specific. This one right here, I probably assume is the V8, which is different than the 6-cylinders, of course. But there are actually 2 different 6-cylinder clutch forks. This is 66, looks something like this. Not super interesting, but it's actually the wrong one for my application. I needed the longer 67 specific clutch fork. As you can see, the throwout bearing sort of just clips onto these. And if you're gonna get one of these, spend the extra $5, get the little anti-rattle bar. That's what this little clippy jobby is. Just save you a headache. One less rattle on these cars, which is always nice. Okay. So that sort of covers, I think, what I wanted to say about the clutch linkage. The other thing I wanted to say is you're going to have 2 options in terms of flywheels and clutches. You're going to have this 9-inch, and you're going to have the 8.5-inch. In my opinion, I think the 8.5-inch is total junk. I think if you already have one, it's worth keeping and sort of cut the cost down, because I know everybody's worried about the cost of the T-5 swap. You know, it's like, oh my God, $3,000, that's a big price tag. Cut it down however you can. And I completely understand that. That's sort of why I decided to go mechanical linkage, because the hydraulic throwout bearing, one being much more work, is it's not cheap. It's like 500 and some bucks, I think. And you're gonna have to run into a different pressure plate and where to mount that reservoir and all kinds of stuff I really didn't want to do. So I stuck with the mechanical linkage, which nobody does, I know, but it's really not bad at all. I quite like it. Anyway, 8.5-inch, 9-inch. 8.5-inch, I think it's total junk. 9-inch, I think it's a better option. And there are better bell housing selections for you if you go 9-inch. They're also a lot easier to find. Yeah, so this is a 9-inch, and it needs the corresponding 9-inch clutch and pressure plate. The 9-inch clutch is right here. These are the 2 different pressure plates, okay? This orange one is a diaphragm style, and this steel one is a 3-finger style. Okay, so a lot of the clutch kits you will see for these 6-cylinder Mustangs come with this style pressure plate. There's nothing particularly great about this style pressure plate. If you call Modern Driveline, they're going to tell you the 3-finger is not your best option. Unnecessarily heavy pedal feel, doesn't hold as much power, etc., etc., etc. And they're probably going to try to convince you to go with this diaphragm style. Problem with that is the diaphragm style clutch kit that they sell, I think, is like $370. You can buy a clutch kit from this terrible company, which I don't recommend you buy a clutch from. Zoom Premium Clutch Set. Whatever that is, right? The reason I recommend you don't, I think it's like $170 for the clutch. It's fine. The clutch is fine. The pressure plate's fine. It comes with this 3-finger style. But yet another example of aftermarket parts companies being total garbage and not doing their due diligence is this is the throwout bearing they're going to send you with this clutch kit. Okay? This is the exact one out of the kit. And this is the throwout bearing Modern Driveline sells on their website for top loaders and for V8 applications. And for T5 applications. The throwout bearings are the same, okay? Both of these will fit on the input shaft of a top loader and the input shaft of a T5. I could show you that, but it's in the car right now, and I don't really feel like wiggling it out of there to show you. So take my word for it, they do. The problem with this throwout bearing, it's fine, it's a good throwout bearing, is that it does not sit on the 3 fingers. See how it's falling in there? Okay. This is the throwout bearing it should have in it. See how much wider it is? Okay. This one's bad. It should not rattle like that. But see how this can sit on the 3 fingers? Okay. That's because this is for a 3-finger style. This is for a diaphragm style, as you can see here. See how it fits on there nice? Okay, so if you want to go that route, you can buy the Zoom clutch, which doesn't even know what the fuck throwout bearing they're putting in their clutch kits. All they would have taken is 2 seconds to check it on the pressure plate, but they didn't. Or you could spend the $370 to do the diaphragm clutch from Modern Driveline. Or I think you could spend, I think it's like $300 and some change to get the Scott Drake kit. The Scott Drake kit comes with the right throwout bearing. So that's something you don't have to worry about. But again, it's a lot of money. So if you want to sort of cut the cost on that, or let's say you've had the 3-speed, the clutch and the pressure plate are good, the flywheel's good, and you just want to rip this thing off, put the adapter on the bell housing, and slap the T5 in, but you just want to change the throwout bearing, which is what happened to me. I saw this throwout bearing was going bad. I was like, all right, I'm just going to get a new throwout bearing. Didn't want to spend the $340 for a new throwout bearing. Didn't really feel like upgrading to the diaphragm style. So I was looking for this throwout bearing. This throwout bearing is very hard to find for whatever reason. Napa and everybody and their mother has discontinued it. But you can still find this throwout bearing on eBay under what part number? No, I've got the box right here. Here it is. Okay. This is brand new, old stock. That's the part number you're looking for. Okay, this one. BCA is just the company. And they can get you the right throwout bearing for these 3-finger clutches. Let's see how much wider? I guess it's kind of hard to tell. But if I stack them up, see? Doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. And this clutch will not engage right, and you will have terrible pedal feel. So, 9-inch clutch, the way to go. If you stick with the 3-finger clutch, this is the bearing you need. If you go to a modern diaphragm style like this, you can use this style, which again is the V8 style, whatever. And if you're wondering, this pressure plate is not the one that Modern Driveline sells. This is a pressure plate off of like a 90s Taurus show. You could buy this pressure plate in their clutch kit, but their clutch is not going to work for you because it's different spline. The T5 and the top loaders, for that matter, are both 10 splines. I think the show engines and I think the show transmissions and like 80s Escorts use like a weird 28 spline kind of deal. But this pressure plate will actually work. But if you're looking for a performance option for these 9 inches, there used to be like nothing that existed. Turns out, if you're going to do this T5 swap, the SVO Mustangs also have this 9-inch clutch. It'll fit in the bell housing. It'll be a 10 spline because they use world-class T5s. And it will line up with this flywheel. on the bolts here, see? Hard to do with one hand, but I'm gonna do my best to show you. Prove my point. There you go. Had it bolted up in the car. Seems like it would work. You just got to use the 10-inch, or I mean, sorry, the 9-inch clutch. Fits in there quite nicely. So I can see, we'll flip it over here. Grab our clutch. Okay, so see, got a little bit of excess. That's pretty well centered. Best I can, at least. Pretty well centered. As opposed to the stock style pressure plate. This one's got some nice hot spots on it. Still has that little bit of overlap. But should be fine. Very, very similar. So anyway, that's a little bit of down the rabbit hole with the clutch stuff. The other thing you're going to need if you're going to do these T5 swaps is a bell housing, obviously. So if you have a 67 car, you're in luck. And if it's a manual, you might have one of these already. And get all the parts out of here. Try to grab this one in. It's not super light despite it being aluminum. Modern Driveline has a wonderful page about all the different bell housings that came behind these 6-cylinder cars. This is the particular adapter I needed for mine. The serial number is stamped beneath this. I'm not going to take it off, but I will post the serial number in the description of this video. But that's how the little adapter plate mounts. So your transmission bolts here and here, okay? And then you do have to drill 2 holes in your bell housing. Wasn't hard to do. And then you put 2 screws in from the other side. Okay? And then these bolt on flush. So pretty easy setup. Pretty easy setup. So you need a bell housing, figure out what's going to work for you. And then the other thing you're absolutely going to need is this cross member that has sort of a setback to it. And if you've upgraded your gauges like I have, upgraded gauges over there, you will not need their little speedometer piece. The one that works for the top loader will work in this. The other thing they're going to try to sell you is this offset shifter, but it doesn't look very offset, at least to me. It's also a short shifter, which is not what I wanted. It's not my personal preference, but I'm not sure if I'm exactly going to need it until I stick this up through the floor. So I will get back to you on that, but you're definitely going to need the shifter. 3 quarts of ATF. With the Fram, at least I got the full synthetic. And they're going to sell you this little harness. You splice your reverse lights. Both, it doesn't matter which wire you wire to what. Your reverse lights are still going to work. They're both black, that's why. Let me think, what else? I mentioned if you've got the 3.3 top loader, you're not going to need that output shaft. The yoke. I don't know, output shaft, yoke. Or I think it's the yoke. I think it's this bit here. Talked about the clutch forks, how they're different. Talked about the 2 different styles of clutches, 2 different styles of pressure plates, 2 different styles of bearings. Just stuff that I feel like is not super talked about on these cars. And I think that's everything. Let's get a T5 into this car. You can use that mechanical linkage. You can reuse it, which is what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I mentioned that already. But that's everything really that you need to T5 swap this car. There's not a lot. Like I said, the drive shaft should be okay. The other thing is, if you went with that super competition shifter on these top loaders, it is the same arm, okay, as the T5 shifter. So if you didn't want to buy a new arm, I don't know why Hurst charges so much for those damn things. It's like $50 to $70, I think, for the arms. So if I were you and you were swapping from an automatic, I would take a little piece of cardboard and figure out kind of the shape and length of the arm that you want, because they are not cheap. You can also find them used on eBay every once in a while. So, also, forgot to mention, these flywheels, these 9-inch flywheels, and more so the 8.5-inch, are difficult to find. But now Modern Driveline is reproducing them. I think they make a billet one, and I think they make a steel one. I think this is the billet one. Still weighs a ton. They charge you for it. I think it's like $340 some dollars. No, I think it's less than that. I think it's like $300. But definitely worth it. Also, one more thing. I'm just trying to spew all the things I remember about doing this. Is these bell housings. The automatics use 3-bolt starters. These use a 2-bolt starter. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind. And I would do it the way I did it with this particular bell housing, because I know the clutch fork that works with it is that longer style available in CJ Pony Parts. And I know this will accept both a top loader, and Modern Driveline has a relatively simple adapter for the T5. So that's the way I would do it. That's the way I am doing it. I think it's going to be a sweet little car once it's done. I'm going to try to answer as many of the questions as I can in the comments, because I know I'm going to get some. I posted 2 videos on here. People keep asking about the mufflers. I don't know what mufflers are on this car. I had a guy make the exhaust for me, and there's no markings or anything on the mufflers. But they sound pretty sweet. So I'm going to try to make another video showing the T5 in there with this cross member, how it all mounts up. But it should be a relatively simple install. It seems like there's a lot of bolts, but it's really not. This is from the old cross member. Exhaust, take the exhaust off. This actually mounts. Oh, that actually reminds me. Okay, yeah. There is this book that's going around. It's been around for years. And it's like the Ford Falcon or something other guide to 6-cylinder performance. I think the book is a good start. Otherwise, I think it's full of really outdated information, budget swaps. And if you're serious about making these cars go fast, I think it's kind of wholly unuseful. And I think the better resource for you is the Classic Inlines website that you now have to go through Vintage Inlines to get to, which is awesome. It's covered in broken links and all kinds of other crap. But whatever, at least we still have that website. In that book, they talk about doing a T5 swap. Okay? Put this down for a second. And they say you need a particular pilot bearing for the T5 swap. Okay? They say you need a roller style pilot bearing. Something that looks like this. See with the actual, it's an actual bearing in there. Little roller bearings. Okay, this came with the Zoom Performance Clutch Kit or whatever. Seems like a nice piece. Seems fine. Spins fine. This is the Ford top loader pilot bearing. They are not, I'm sorry, this is a bushing. Okay, I will show you that this fits on the top loader. Transmission weighs a ton. Okay, fits on there nice, tight fit. And it also fits on the T-5, as you can see here. Okay, you don't need a roller pilot bearing. I don't know why that book says that. I have talked to Modern Driveline about this to no end. I don't know if these are 6-cylinder specific either. I ordered this one from Modern Driveline because I thought I needed it. I thought it was going to be different than the top loader. It is completely the same to the one that is in the block right now. So I don't know why it says that. But that is the other thing I kind of wanted to mention is you don't need this roller bearing. I guess it's nice to have. It's probably nicer, but the bushing works just fine. It's really just supporting that input shaft. So, I think that's everything. I think I got everything right. I'm sure somebody will let me know if I didn't. But I'm out here doing it. These things have worked for me. Swapped that 3-speed in. Know for sure that all works. Other thing really quick is a lot of the parts websites, like CJ Pony Parts is guilty of this. Summit Racing, all the Jags, all the other ones. They talk about V8 specific parts. These are the Coney Classic single adjustable shocks. They work beautifully on this car. It's a 6-cylinder car, obviously. The Global West suspension kit, they're tubular arms. They say they don't fit on the V8, or they say they don't fit on the 6-cylinder. There they are, all hooked up. They work beautifully on this car. One thing, though, to think about, just kind of be aware of, is if you're running headers, these are Hooker headers by Holley. These were the only set you could get that were long tube headers for this car. They are ginormous. And boy, are they a bitch to get in this car. But the control arm bolts come out right here, and the header clearance is very tight. I actually had to trim this bolt up of the control arm to get it to fit. So that's one thing there. The other thing is, if you're going to do this DUI distributor, you have got to go to the Ford LTD style power steering pump, because it will not clear. If you have a factory power steering car, the reservoir is giant. Had one on this car, got rid of it to do that little power steering upgrade. The other thing is, there is I think ADCO makes it, an ADCO rear sway bar that they say is V8 specific. 6-cylinder cars didn't come with rear sway bars. If you want to do one thing, I think it costs you like $50 to drastically improve the handling of this car. And I mean drastically. Do that little ADCO sway bar. It's easy. Take an hour at most, even if you're not mechanically inclined. I think that's all of the 6-cylinder specific parts that V8 specific parts that actually work on these 6-cylinder cars that I have on this right now. So, all right, well, I hope this helps. I wish you the best of luck. I hope I see more people doing this T5 swap, because you can do it on a budget. Other people have got great videos about how to pull a T5 out of a junkyard that'll work for this application. So, best of luck to you.